Welcome, everyone, to Lorcanarama. This is episode 3. I'm your host, Kelsey Hall. I'd like to thank everybody for joining us. This is my third attempt. If you don't count a pilot episode, which was incredibly horrible, but I stuck it on YouTube just so you can see how far we've come. Lorcanarama, I want to tell you why I'm doing this stream. I played Magic for several years and quit in 2017 because I became a bad person when I played that game. It brought out the worst in me. And I swore I would never, ever play card games at TCGs again until all of a sudden this little game came along. And I had no intention of playing this game. I only just wanted to play it with my little daughter. And that was it. Just to have fun. Just father-daughter stuff. Went to a store to buy a starter deck, and some folks in there said, hey, you should come and hang out with us. Brought my daughter to hang out. We play in our local store. And the next thing I know, they're asking me to go to a DLC in Atlanta. And so my family and I, we loaded up the car, headed up there, and I had a blast. I met a lot of people in this community, and I have to say, as most of you who are part of this community know, this community is very, very special. And I made a decision in Atlanta that I wanted to do everything I could to make this community be as good or better, so that when my daughter went to her first DLC, she got to experience that same love and joy that I did, and that same excitement. And so, I don't want to do competitive play because, again, that still brings out the bad parts of me. But I took up judging for the DLCs, which has been a story in and of itself. And it's been a lot of fun. Met a lot of people. In fact, our guest tonight is somebody that I met through the DLCs. But as a judge, that's one way I give back. But this stream is another way I give back, because the purpose of this stream is not, I don't really want to do competitive podcasts or anything like that. There's a lot of good people out there who do that already. I want to focus on this community. This stream, this podcast, these videos are about the community. They're for the community and about the community. I want to highlight the people in the community. And you may wonder, well, what people are we talking about? Well, if you think about it, who's the community, right? It starts with the people who created the game, right? And by the way, that's me with the beard, in case you couldn't tell, right? Ryan Miller, Steve Warner, guys who co-created the game, the other devs, they're part of the community. You got your local players that are part of the community, and these are my local players, my friends at my local game store. And you got the folks that you meet out, the DLCs, the folks who spend all of their hard-earned money to make these trips to go have fun with the broader Lorcana community. They're part of the community. The people who dress up and have fun at those communities, right? At those get-togethers. We've seen lots of those around. And I'll tell you, when I'm working these events as staff, one of my favorite things is to see the different people and the costumes that they're wearing and the way they dress up. And of course, there's the staff, right? The staff of the community. These are the fine judges from Anaheim. They're part of the community as well. And then there's the content creators too. They're also part of the community. And, at this point, I want to name drop these two fellas that you see on the screen right here, because they, along with Jafar, who you saw back in the previous picture, were the three people who are the most instrumental in me doing this podcast and this stream. I met Dan Arnold at TFM in Atlanta, and this is a picture of us in Atlanta. And I fanboyed over him like anybody else this season, right? And I told him, I said, hey, I thought about maybe doing a podcast or something like this, but I don't know if it would be any good. And he said something that has stuck with me for ever since that event. And it finally got the better of me and it won out. And he said, you know what's worse than a bad podcast? I go, what? He goes, no podcast. And I say, point well taken, sir. I hear you. And that just kept coming back to me over and over again over the last year or so, until I finally got around to doing this. The second person is, if you guys don't know the gentleman in there, is Kawa from the Podcana podcast. I met him in Toronto. And as I've told folks, every now and then you'll meet somebody that your personalities just click. And you think that outside of this, I would still be friends with this guy. And so, it's one of those people that I met in my life. And he was very instrumental in showing me how technically to do this podcast. And so I want to thank him. I want to thank Dan and Jafar. If you're listening, I want to thank you. I want you on this show, man, because you were part of this too. So that's the community. Those are the people that I want to highlight and I want this to be about. And so tonight I have somebody that I met as part of the DLCs who's part of that community. And so I would like to welcome Sabrina Reynolds. So Sabrina, welcome to Lorcanarama.
Hey, good to be here.
So Sabrina and I met in Atlanta during the players meeting. We were sitting across from one another in the players meeting. And the thing I remember most about that meeting was the dude sitting next to us was from Alaska. And he drove all the way from Alaska to come to Atlanta to play. And the first words out of my mouth were, did you get lost or was it intentional? And I was just aghast. I couldn't believe that somebody drove, not flew, drove from Alaska to come down and play. And then follow-up DLCs. I didn't go to another one until I was judge in Toronto. And then I'd see Sabrina at the DLCs and I'd say hi. I remember we knew each other from players meetings, very cordial. And then in Vegas, I saw her again. And, and she told me then that she was done. she was going to rage quit. That's her story. So that's how we met. And I brought her on because she has a story to tell, and I want to give her the opportunity to tell that story. So I want to bring up a picture she gave me of her friend. So this is your crew, right?
Yeah, this is the squad. So to the left is my now fiance Toby, and then in the middle is our friend Mike, who him and Toby actually know each other from Pokemon like decades ago.
Okay.
And then Mike brought in the two guys to the left. You have Keith and Mike Shulo, who I just call Shulo.
Okay.
Keith's brother Rob was a little cranky, so we could not get a photo with him.
Okay.
But he did ask if I could Photoshop him in for this, but that was a little late. So
Okay.
I guess he'll have to not be cranky next time.
All right. Send me the Photoshop video. I'll edit the video when it goes to YouTube. I'll put the Photoshop version on there. So, where was this picture taken at?
This was taken in Atlanta,
Okay.
off to the left as we were like leaving the hall.
Okay.
And this was right after the top 32 round. You can see the envelope in Toby's hand.
Okay.
That was the top 32 prize winnings.
Wow.
Actually.
Nice. He placed in the top 32. That's awesome. So
two of them did actually. Him and Keith both made top 32. Keith lost to Zan in top 32.
Okay.
Which was hilarious because Mike absolutely loves him.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really fun to watch that match and watch Mike Shulo's face during that game, even from afar.
he was starstruck, right?
Yes, yeah, very much so.
That's funny. We had two of our local guys made it into the top 64 and played each other in the first round, and so
that's brutal.
Yeah, it was. It was. At least one of them was guaranteed to make it through, right? But you want both of them to make it. But it's tough. And then we had another one that, well, he'll be on next week, and I'll let him tell his story, but he missed it just barely. Anyways, Atlanta was special. That's where the impact was made on me with the community. I'm not saying the other DLCs weren't, but that being the first one, there was just this excitement and this aura in the air there, and
there was a magic in the air for sure.
Yeah, it was
being
great.
The first one, even through the chaos, because Atlanta was chaotic.
Yeah, it
Like even
was.
the player meeting was chaos.
Yeah.
But there was like a magic and a spark. And truthfully, when I went to Atlanta, I was like, I might be one and done. And
Yeah.
clearly, you saw me at
Right.
multiple others, including Vegas. So it was not one and done. But
Yeah.
Atlanta definitely sparked the like competitive side for me. Like I want to play. I want to be part of this community in a bigger way.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And which events have you been to since then?
As far as DLCs, we
Hmm.
did Atlanta. I got off the wait list for Dallas like a week and a half ahead of time. So I luckily had enough PTO to just be like, yeah, I'm not coming in and left.
Did you drive or
Uh
fly?
flew.
You
We
made it through
flew.
that fiasco of the
And
flights then.
yes, I forgot about that. That was the day that Microsoft crashed.
Yeah.
And funny enough, our friend, the guy in the middle, his son was actually competing at a gymnastics tournament in Dallas that weekend. So he had his whole family and then the two of us. And I felt so bad because Microsoft crashed as we're about to get on the plane. And his son was so sad thinking about missing the tournament. And it was like, we felt
Man,
so bad.
did he make it?
The best part, he did. We did. Yeah, we
Okay.
made it.
Okay.
They reboarded us twice. And then we got to the hotel and we were like super early. And they were like, listen, even if I had a room, I can't put you in it because Microsoft's down. And I was like, what? I
Oh,
love
even
this
the hotels.
place. Yeah, it was everything. So we basically just sat in the lobby. We got food and then we like sat in the lobby for hours because there was nothing else to do.
Man,
But yeah,
that's
and then after Dallas, we did Toronto and we did Vegas.
okay. Yep. And so in Vegas, when I saw you in Vegas, you were not in a very good mood. I'm just going to say it.
Not my finest moment.
Not your finest moment. I mean, you weren't mean or anything like that, but I could tell you weren't having fun. So what happened? Why did you because you told me I think this is my last one. And
Yeah, and I
yeah.
meant it. At the time, I meant it. Um, I am traditionally an aggro player, in Lorcana and outside of Lorcana. I like aggro decks. Um, but a lot of the squad pictured loves Steel Song. Like since day
Mm,
one, they were Steel Song players.
yep.
And they finally roped me in, and I was like, all right, guys, I'll play Steel Song in Vegas. And I learned the deck. I built my own deck, kind of. Like we started from scratch, and I built a deck, and we like slowly refined it to be exactly the 60 I wanted it to be. And I practiced and I practiced and I practiced. And in 4 of the 5 rounds that I participated in, the one round my opponent didn't show. But in those 4 rounds, I played against blue red twice and the mirror match twice. And I was like, I'm not even having fun. Like
Oof.
I yeah. Like so I rage quit after round 5 and I sat in the hallway because I was just done. I was done. I was like, and truthfully, I didn't pick up a Lorcana card until PAX in December.
Wow. Yeah, that's I when we were in Atlanta, I fought through a bunch of stuff, playing and I lost a couple games. I did well. I mean, I finished with a winning record, but I never had any intention of doing well at all. But I did well enough to fool myself into thinking, oh, if I work at this hard enough, I keep doing it. But I also found that old me showed back up again. That one that you ever met? I think you said you played Magic, right? So, and
Yeah.
let me the game that must not be named. Let me just refer to it as that on this. So, you know, one thing that I used to own a local game store and I've played competitively, and the one thing that I have never met in my life, never, and I'm sure there are some, but I haven't met them yet, is a Magic player who lost a game because they lost it on their own volition, and it wasn't because something went wrong. It wasn't the deck's fault. It wasn't, the air conditioner's fault or their stomach grumbled in the middle, whatever. I've never met a Magic player that actually lost a game. So,
Right.
it's, and so I that was me too. And my wife told me, she goes, I don't like it when you play Lorcana. When you lose, you blame everybody. From the little kid that beat you, to whatever happened, to the system, to people IDing or whatever. She goes, I don't like that in you. And I go, you're right. I don't like that in me either. That's why I quit. And so capable of it, but I'm not capable of being a nice person if I lose. So I just was like, it's just better if the good side of me stays and the bad side just gets put away. So, but
Vegas definitely brought out the bad side of me as a player, and there was like some hardcore self-reflection after that because I
mhm.
was not proud. I was not proud of the fact that I got so upset. I was not proud of the fact that I rage dropped. And like I own the fact that I rage dropped. Like Toby will be like, "It was okay. You were frustrated. Like you weren't having fun." I'm like, "Yeah, I rage dropped."
Yeah.
Like I could have played. There was no reason I couldn't show up for another 4 rounds. But I think that if I had played the rest of that event, I think it might have been my last
Yeah, I can
DLC.
see that.
And now I'm like, let's release the schedule. Let's go. Like I got PTO
Yeah.
banked. I'm ready.
That's right. The best thing about them with the delay in worlds or a time gap is that I'm saving up leave at work. So, you know,
Yeah.
because going to all those DLCs was killing my bank and it was killing my time off. The good thing is my family would come with me. They came with me to Toronto and then they came with me to Anaheim. They enjoy Disneyland. I got to enjoy it with them for one day, but they made a vacation out of it, and so we're taking advantage of it as a family now. For Las Vegas and Seattle, I have a friend that plays. He goes with me, and we just share a room in a hotel or whatever, and just go to the event together, and just come back and just enjoy the city
Yeah.
together. So that's kind of neat. That makes it a little bit easier for us. It offsets some of the costs when you split it. So but it's still expensive, but it's fun. My goodness, it's fun. So,
They are expensive.
yeah,
Toronto was killer. Toronto was super expensive just for like hotels.
yeah,
They were crazy.
but
But our friend was like, we're driving up in the cyber truck. We're gonna go to Niagara Falls. So I was like,
oh
we're
yeah,
going. We're going.
that was amazing. We did the same thing. We flew into Buffalo and then drove across. And we had been to Buffalo for the eclipse earlier in the year, and that's how we found out about Toronto. We were like, "Ooh, I've never been to this city. This is a nice little city, And so we have to come here again. And then, the DLC for Toronto was announced, and I was like, "Hey, lovely wife, what do you think about going to Toronto again? If I judge?" And that's how I got into judging. My first one was there, but that Niagara Falls, man, that is something else. I still got to see it from both sides, and so it's pretty neat.
Yeah, we saw the American side at night.
hmm
Um,
So what
and
happened?
then
Well, hold on. You can't just say that because I know the story of you seeing it at night, right?
yeah,
So what
do.
happened when you saw it at night?
Yeah. So we had been in a car all day. I'll give you like a little more lead up. And
Okay.
Sabrina was getting tired of being in a car. The only thing that saved my mood was that I remember distinctly we traveled up on the Thursday before the event, and that Thursday was pumpkin spice release day at Starbucks.
Ooh, yeah.
So I may have gotten some fall drinks at Starbucks that kind of revived the mood.
So you're feeling spicy,
Um,
right?
yeah. And we were getting closer, and our friend, so it's me, Toby, and Mike in the middle, and he's like, "Do you guys want to go to the American side tonight? Like it's like 5 minutes off the road. Like we had a hotel booked on the Canadian side, but we can stop on the American side." And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." We park. You can barely see part of the falls where we parked because it's nighttime and it's like not lit. And they have me walking all over God's creation at this point. I'm like, I don't know where we're going. It's dark. I'm tired. And they take me up on the bridge for, I think it's called Maid of the Mist, the ship that goes out.
Uh-huh.
But there's a big bridge
Yeah.
that at that time of night, the ships aren't going out. So the bridge is like, you can just walk up there. And we walk up, and I'm like, oh, yeah, this is really pretty. Like, it's all lit up, there's colors. And Toby hands me a Lorcana pack. And I'm like, oh, cool. I love Lorcana packs. This is great. And I open it, and I noticed the adhesive's like a little bit weird. Like, I couldn't quite open it.
Mhm.
And I'm opening it and I get to an enchanted and he's looking at me like, "Would you go faster?" And I did go faster and he had a custom proposal card made. So he proposed with a Lorcana card on the way to a DLC
Nice.
overlooking Niagara Falls. Yeah. It's one for the books, I think.
Yeah, first of all, congratulations. You
Thank
know,
you.
but I said it earlier when we were talking. He set the bar high. So,
He really did. I waited 8.5 years
yeah,
though, so I
yeah,
think he had time.
that's impressive. That's impressive.
Yeah.
For those of you on the stream, if you're looking, we have the card up. So you want to read that for everybody?
Yeah. It says proposal. It's a 2-cost action and it's green. Green's my favorite Lorcana card color. It says, ask your significant other, will you marry me? If they say yes, you both quest together to win the game. If they say no, you lose the game.
Nice.
Um,
And
and then the flavor text is, with hearts entwined and dreams shared, the greatest adventure begins with a simple yes.
nice. I imagine you said
Yeah,
yes, right?
I did. I did. Actually, after the fact, I looked at
Okay.
him and I was like, I don't remember saying yes. Like I have a ring, but I don't remember saying yes.
You were in a daze.
Definitely. Funny story about the card though. He had ordered it and a friend of ours, I don't even remember which friend, not a Lorcana friend, had pointed out that there was a spelling mistake on it. And it's not on this one because this is
Okay.
the replacement card. But the replacement card did not come in time for him to propose with it. So he proposed with the misspell. And my reaction was like, yeah, that seems on brand for Lorcana.
That's
How to
funny.
propose with print. Yeah. So
It's a first print run, right?
yeah, it was significant and like all the letters were there, but I think the N and the I were flipped or something. Your brain just like made it be spelled correctly, but it wasn't.
That's funny. Yeah, when
Yeah.
you're in the moment there, you
But yeah,
probably don't notice it, but so
I didn't. He had to point it out to me. And he was like, I showed like 12 people this card and nobody pointed it out. And I was like, that's shocking.
that's funny. So,
Yeah.
so how did you do in Toronto though? After all that, like you were going there to play Lorcana, right? And here you go, you get
Yeah,
engaged
yeah.
along the way. It's like, did you even care at that point? You know?
It was hard to care, to be honest. I was kind of like, yeah, I'm good now. Like we can just
Yeah.
hang out in Toronto. Um, I did okay in Toronto. I had a couple bad draws early on. I distinctly remember I played a fairly new player who was playing, I think he was playing Amber, Ruby, like Mufasa Roulette, which I love. I
Hmm.
love that deck. And I lost the game because I miscounted because Rapunzel does in fact quest for 2.
Ooh, that's right. Yeah.
And I didn't count 2 pips. I only counted 1.
Ah, well, you got an engagement ring still, right?
Yeah, yeah. That I did.
So,
Funny enough, Toby actually, he was on stream for round 9, and unfortunately lost. But people kept trying to console him by saying, "Well, at least you got engaged." And he's like, "It's not the same." They're like,
That-
"But at least you got engaged."
that's funny. That's funny.
Yeah, so it was funny just to hear people say it all the time, and like I knew that he wasn't not happy about getting engaged, but he was, like, upset about losing, and people were just like, "Yeah, but you got engaged."
That's great. And all the times that we've talked to each other, I don't think I've ever met Toby, to be honest. I think I've seen him with you, but I don't know that we met. So,
Funny enough, we don't spend a lot of time together at DLCs, actually. Um,
were you
he
guys?
likes to socialize between rounds, and I like to go sit in a corner and not talk.
Yeah, right.
So, you will usually find me in a corner with one of our friends, and you'll find him socializing with all of the people he's met at every other event that year.
You gotta quit playing Amber Steel because it seems like that's the that's what takes you into those corners. You just that hateful deck.
It really is. It really is. No more Amber Steel for me.
Yeah,
I've learned my lesson. We're gonna stick with not that deck.
yeah. Well, you said green's your favorite color, right? It's a you do Emerald
It
Amethyst,
is, but
right?
I'm not on green right now.
Oh, why not? You're on blue like everybody else. That's it.
Oh, heck no, I told you I can't stand blue. I tried to play blue
Yeah,
and like it's just not fun for me. Like if it's fun for you, that's great.
yeah.
I hope that you have fun. But when I'm play blue, it feels like I'm working.
Hmm.
I'm like I don't want to have to think this hard and still get the answer wrong every time.
It's funny.
So,
You know,
yeah,
I I was gonna save this question for later about I'll bring it up now. So like one thing that I like in set six, I think I finally made it to the point to where my favorite color combination is a reflection of my personality. In Magic, in that game that we shall not name, by the time I was playing that, I think most people who play it, most of the decks they play reflect kind of their character and personality, I think, for the most part, especially when they play, the commander and stuff like that. And so we hadn't quite made it there yet with Lorcana. And my favorite ink combination is Emerald Amethyst, and I think we finally when Genie popped out to help out a little bit, and a few other cards, Go-Go, I felt like I finally had the tools to express myself through my deck, and I have had such a blast in set six. I've won a set champ, won a store championship, and I've been having so much fun with it. I think, and this may be a hot take, I don't know, but I think it's the best color combination right now. It's just that I think there's so much in there that it can overwhelm folks. And I'm not saying that people don't know how to deal with it. There are a lot of good Emerald Amethyst players out there, Artifacts and Mo and those guys. They play it well. But your average person won't really, what's the word I'm looking for? They won't pick that up, because it's hard. There's a lot of decision points in it. And you can go in so many different directions with it. And what I was happy about this past weekend was to see that I'm going to talk about Amber Steel now. Amber Steel was the first color set that came out, the first color combination, I think, that gave us two viable archetypes for
yeah,
tier one archetypes for their color combination. And then when DKP came out with his version of Ruby Sapphire, it joined the fray. Now you had two archetypes for Ruby Sapphire. Now Blue Sapphire Steel has done that. We got two archetypes for that now. You got items, you got aggro. And now Emerald Amethyst has joined that, where you have the traditional tempo driven decks, and now you have this new discard deck with the Diablos in it. And so, it's kind of neat that set 7 is finally, now it's not just, Ruby Sapphire. It's like, what version of Ruby Sapphire are you playing now? So we're finally now getting to where we're getting the different archetypes within the ink combinations now. And still we got some that need to catch up, but I think that with the dual ink cards, they've set up a foundation to now catch some of these other decks up, these colors up. So
I think set 7 was a really good stepping stone towards more color combinations having an identity.
mm-hmm.
And some of them having multiple identities or
Yep.
multiple avenues. And
Yep.
like it's going to take more than one set to make that
Absolutely.
possible.
Yep.
But if you think back to like set 1, for example, like the first chapter, I know um there was a tournament at one of the New Jersey game stores. Um and it was like a team trios event, but each color could only be represented once. And with set 1, you didn't have options. Like you were probably playing like, I'm gonna make an idiot out of myself because I don't remember what the combinations were, but it was like Steel Song, red, blue, green, purple. Like that was your decks. You
Mhm.
couldn't really deviate from that very much because it didn't exist. And red purple at that time was really slow. Like that
Yeah.
wasn't the fast-paced red purple deck. That was we're going to time every round red purple.
Yep.
And as we've gone, like it's crazy to think that we went from that to set 7 where like Steel Sapphire Steel has two distinct avenues that are both very playable. They're both very viable. But it's, you're going to have to continue down that path. But I think that set 7 was a really good starting point. I like the dual color cards. I'm excited to see what
Yeah.
they do with that.
I am too. I think set 1 is the last time that Sapphire Amber was a threat. So,
Yeah.
there was a moment, folks, for those of you who are just joining Lorcana, when Amber Sapphire decks ruled the roost for about 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like some of these color combinations we just still can't jam together to be cohesive enough.
Yeah.
It's
I
crazy. But I've played Amber, nope, not Amber. I call them regular color names, so trying to call them the appropriate ink color is hard for me.
I'm
But
doing my best now to use the right name since I'm on a stream. So, but
well, it kills me because one of our friends, so I call amber yellow, but one of our friends calls it orange, and he drives me up a wall because he'll be like that orange steel deck, and I'm like, there isn't orange in Larcana. What are you talking about?
that's funny.
But even back to set 1, I was playing Emerald Amethyst. It's my favorite color combo.
Yeah.
I've struggled with it.
That.
I have friends that will distinctly remember me hating on Rafiki at
Yeah.
SCG Philly,
So,
and they won't let me live it down. I have since acquired a Rafiki shirt to commemorate the event,
okay.
but that's been my deck. So I'm excited to hopefully see a better version of that come forward soon.
Yeah. See, that's why you and I were simpatico. We get along as we're both Emerald Amethyst players.
Yeah, it's a
So,
vibe.
yeah, right. There's a community there.
Not Amber Steel.
Not Amber Steel. No, no. So let me go back real quick. So you, when you got engaged,
Yeah.
so you go to Toronto and then in Vegas, all that, Vegas was Vegas. That was your last DLC. So one of the things you had, I'll just share this real quick for the viewers and stuff. So one of the, one of the reasons I asked Sabrina to come on was because there's still another part of the story that hasn't really been told yet, and other than the fact that she and I, kind of, met the DLCs and became friends and stuff, and there's stuff that's happened since after the engagement. And I saw it. I didn't know it happened until I saw something on Facebook about it, and without going into much detail because it's her story to tell, it just broke my heart. I spent a lot of time in prayer for her and her family and for Toby. And then when I decided to do this podcast, this stream, I saw a flyer for a benefit dinner for some things that happened, and I told myself, well, if you can't have her on, then why are you even doing the stream? I talked about it at the beginning. It's by the community, it's for the community, about the community, and Sabrina is a big part of the community. And so, Sabrina, this next part is your story to tell. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show folks the flyer that got my attention. Well, the first post back in December got my attention, but the flyer got my attention recently, and it's for a benefit dinner. And I want you to just go ahead and this is your time now. You tell folks the story, what happened, what this dinner's for, and you take as much time as you need to get it across. So
Yeah, so back in December, on December 16th, it was actually exactly 4 months after we got engaged. Toby and his dad were out. They were just picking up like crumble cookies and they were going to go to the grocery store. And unfortunately, they were hit by a woman who was driving EWI, driving while impaired. Um, and Toby's father did not survive the accident and Toby suffered pretty significant, pretty significant injuries um, to the right side of his body. The bad joke we always make is that thankfully he's left-handed, so he was still able to, do some things, but his right hip was dislocated. He had multiple pelvis fractures, and
Yeah.
his right hand, he had a broken thumb, and then we actually just are starting to find out what's wrong with his middle finger. But that's looking like it's a sprain. He can't fully straighten it. Um, but he's able to use his hand now. He's getting around a lot better. Um, he actually jokes and has joked since he was out of the initial splint for his thumb that even though he can't shuffle, he can still shuffle better than me. So, um, even the Lorcana jokes have found a way into his recovery. Um, but through all of, what we've been through in the accident, there was a week-long hospital stay. He spent 2 weeks in rehab, and then came home and had like home health care in place, um, along with like our family and, friends that we have just locally. The Lorcana community has like really rallied around us. Um, we have friends that have ran like events at their locals as soon as like the weekend after the accident, just to try to help get some funds coming in. Obviously I had to take a leave of absence at work to deal with all of this, and just be there for Toby because his recovery was, number one priority.
Mm-hmm.
We've had multiple benefit events since. We've had a Lorcana event, and some other TCGs that shall not be named events. And truthfully, like the friends that we have made playing Lorcana have been a really big backbone for us during all of this. And friends, even that we haven't met playing Lorcana, but that we have always known and do play Lorcana, like it has been a really big support system for us through all of this. And then this Friday, the 4th, we have a benefit dinner. So this was kind of the benefit event to hopefully rally some of the people in our lives that don't necessarily play TCGs. While a lot of our friends do, certainly not all of them are in the gaming community.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and as they always do, all of our Lorcana friends have showed up and purchased tickets for the event, so they'll be there. One of our local stores is donating a case of Lorcana for the 50/50 raffle, or not the 50/50, the basket raffle. We have a friend of ours doing a custom playmat that's going to be all Disney villains for the event. So our hope for this event, while like raising some funds towards the recovery and everything like that is great, but we also just kind of want an opportunity for people to see Toby, that he is recovering, and for Toby to kind of get back to some sense of normalcy, which is really hard to find while going through all of this. But yeah, that's kind of the gist of the story. I don't know if there's like specific questions you want to ask or anything like that.
It's your story. It's like for me, something happened in December. What we're 5 months removed almost, and for folks that, I was talking with Sabrina earlier, and I'll just say this. It's where I get into a life lessons point, and I didn't intend for this to happen. But one thing we talked about is sometimes people are well intentioned when they come up to you, especially at a time of loss. And a lot of times these people, we don't know what to say, but we feel like we should say something. And I just tell folks, just be careful what you say. A lot of times we'll tell folks you understand what they're going through, especially if you've lost a parent or something like that. And while you may understand what it was like to have lost your parent, you don't understand what it's like for that person to have lost their parent. And so, it's tough, and to have friends and to have loved ones that can put this this bubble around you, this hedge of protection, so to speak, and show you love and to carry you through those moments is invaluable, you know. And to hear you talk about like even the Lorcana community stepping up, that's part of that hedge, right? You know, those folks. And you know, it's great to hear. It's amazing to hear that. It's not amazing to hear what happened, but you can't,
No, but you have to
right?
find the like something something that Toby and I have been talking about is like really trying to focus on, I don't even want to call it positives that came out of it, but as much as like positives we have experienced through this, if that
Mhm.
makes sense.
Yeah.
And truthfully, like the community and the love and support from our friends and our family and has been immeasurable for us. I mean, even to get like a little more into detail, the night of the accident, I was home alone. Um, and I actually got an alert from, I'm Toby's emergency contact. And his phone actually sent me a text that there had been a crash detected and 911 was dispatched. So
Dang.
this is a PSA to anyone out there with an Apple device, especially a recent Apple device. I would make sure that your crash detection is turned on, and that you do have your emergency contact set up, because his phone alerting me was able to have me at the hospital immediately after they had reset his hip. I was already at the hospital waiting to be let back.
Wow.
Um, yeah, I mean, it all happened really quickly, but also in slow motion. Like, I got the text. They had the car, so I called my friend that lives down the road. She didn't answer, and then I called my mom, because what do you do when you don't know what to do? You call your mom.
Yeah.
And I then called one of our friends that was actually in Vegas with us, and I was like, I got this text and I don't know what to do. And his only response was, I'm on my way. And as, friends in the community do, he actually called one of our other friends and they both came and got me. Um, but it's really like our friends have held us up since the moment it happened. They have
Mhm.
been people we can lean on. I live an hour and a half away from my family. So, while my parents were in the car within 10 minutes of getting that phone call, um, you know, they were an hour and a half away. So it was our friends that really like provided that initial support and have continued to. I mean, as far as organizing this event, organizing and
Mhm.
attending the other events, um, even just simple things like checking up on us or making sure that we have groceries or our trash is taken out, like the simple things, but they really do add up. And some of those people that have been so instrumental in all of this, I wouldn't have ever met without Lorcana. So I think that's what's really cool in all of this.
Yeah, it was, you know, of course we met through Lorcana and it was through, I think the Lorcana page might have been the Forbidden Mountains page. I know it was Dan Arnold that made the post. He reposted either, excuse me, a newspaper article or something. And that's what made me aware of it, you know,
Yeah.
and I saw that and I go, I know her. And it's like, you know, it just, yeah, I had that moment where it's like, wow, you know, that's, you know, it hit me right in the heart, you know, and you know, then to see the benefit dinner, you know, I know it's recovery physically is hard enough, emotionally is hard. You know, then there's that mental aspect of it too, where it's like, okay, finally you're like, I got to figure out how to function again, you know, and
Yeah,
if
there's
it's
a lot of
something's,
layers to it.
yeah, yeah, it's not easy, and folks, there's several folks out there listening that have probably been through that, and they would know that too, you know, but um, you know, so the dinner here, there's a QR code at the bottom of it. When we hit that QR code, what's going to happen? Is it
The QR code will actually take you to the GoFundMe directly.
okay?
The GoFundMe does have more of a background story about the accident, um, how much Toby's dad meant to him. They were truly best friends. One thing that's been hard for Toby, especially getting back out there with going to events, because one thing that he had set as a goal for himself was, despite being in a walker, Um, and he actually had like a platform on the walker because he couldn't put
Mhm.
weight on his hand. He was like, I want to go to a store champ.
Hmm.
And he did. We went to two. Um, our friends, made it work with fitting the whole walker and an
Uh-huh.
ottoman and everything. But he went to two store champs. Um, I
Nice.
totally lost my train of thought. Oh, one thing that was kind of hard for him, like getting back into gaming, is he would always come home and tell his dad how he did.
Oh
And
man.
like his dad, despite not necessarily knowing how any of the games really worked, was his
Mhm.
biggest hype man.
That's awesome.
Like it didn't matter if it was a 3-round local event where you won a pack. He was like, "Did you win? Did you do good?" So it's been really hard for him to like come back from events and be like, "I just want to tell my
Yeah.
dad how I did." And like, that's
Yeah.
been rough. Um, but again, Lorcana and gaming finding its way into literally
Yeah.
every aspect of our lives.
Yeah. When I started playing the other game again, I was going through a dark time in my life. It was tough. I was going through a divorce and I lost my mom, and card games provided for me this small window where I could escape from everything that was going on that was just beating me down, because the world can be a mean world, right? And life can be
Yeah.
tough. And that's why we play the games, is to kind of get away from all of that. And, the great thing, as you said, about this community is, unlike other communities, I have noticed with the Lorcana community and the friends that I have made with it, that the friendships extend beyond meeting them at a local game store and just playing a game. They're not just acquaintances, and I don't know how that's like that with this game. I just don't understand it. Maybe somebody could do a research paper one day and figure it out. It'd be a great social paper, for somebody for their doctorate or something. But it's just amazing, It's great.
It's so crazy how fast and how strong those bonds can form. I mean,
Yeah.
like Lorcana friends of ours that he had met um at PAX 2023 and
Hmm.
then at SCG Philly were like pretty heavily involved in planning or coordinating the engagement from what I understand. I know
Hmm.
there was a group chat that I was not allowed to open. If this group chat messaged him and I had the phone, I was forbidden from opening it until Toronto. um and it's just crazy how fast those bonds form. We have friends now that like are a pretty big part of our life that we didn't know before Lurkana.
Yeah.
We met from going to locals and then,
Yep.
you know, convincing them to go to other events and bigger events and other stores and now we have them over to play board games and things like that.
Nice.
So it's crazy.
What's your favorite board game?
This has actually been on my mind a lot lately.
Oh.
So I think I have long said that Terraforming Mars is my favorite board game,
Ooh, that's a good
and
one.
I love Wingspan.
That's a good one too.
But then there's this game called Earth,
Okay.
and
I've
Earth reminds me of both, and I love it.
That's awesome. I haven't played it yet. I've been wanting to play it. My favorite is Root. Um,
I haven't played Root. We
R-
own like every possible expansion for it, but I haven't
yeah,
played it.
I love it because wow, I don't know how they pulled off that. The rules are asymmetric, right? It's like
Yeah.
every faction, and yet it works. I'm like, holy moly, how'd they pull this off? So we have a group of friends that play it, and four of us, and we had a rule that, okay, every week you had to play a different faction, so nobody could master one, so to speak, and we'd
I like
swap around.
oh
Yeah, so it's fun. We really like that because it's a different game every time you play, it seems like. So
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, we definitely on my list of things to play. Um but yeah, I love board games.
Yeah,
You should go to PAX. PAX has like a pretty big Lorcana presence and is all board games and stuff.
I'll try.
And it's in
I
Philly.
I would love to do those things. My wife and I, we love traveling. We love cities. So she just was in Philadelphia for her work. And so she's like, in fact, I had messaged Dan Arnold from TFM because I knew he worked at the place where her conference was going to be doing lighting there. I'd seen him mention a post on it. I say, where's there good to eat around there so I can pointer there, and he sent me some places to go. And so,
Dan is good
I
for
wanted to
food
go.
recommendations.
He hit a home run with that one with her because she was talking about it. So, but yeah. So for folks on the stream, I would encourage you to check out the GoFundMe. You may or may not know Sabrina. You may or may not know Toby, but I say this to my kids all the time. It's a mean and hateful world out there. And if you find somebody that'll wrap their arms around you and protect you and love you, then hold on to that person, whether they be a friend or a significant other or whatever, or a family member. And I always tell my kids, treat each other nice because you're all you got. And so, you're here listening. So somehow a connection has been made here. So I would encourage you to just check it out. Don't just walk away from it. Sometimes, it's nice to just help out folks. So, I would encourage you to do that. So I'm going to have a little fun with you now. Hold on. So I warned you about this part, right? Okay.
Yeah, you did.
So what I'm going to do is I am going to pull up a picture in just a second, of a Lorcana card. And the card, I'm gonna obfuscate them on it. I'm not gonna show the rules text on it. And the inspiration for this is, as I've told folks who come on here, is a few weeks ago, or a couple months ago, my friend and I were playing Pack Rush with a couple packs from previous sets, and I left my glasses at home, and I cannot read without my glasses, despite my best effort. I thought I knew every Disney Lorcana card until I played Pack Rush with these older sets and I didn't have my glasses. And I had to constantly ask him, what does this card do? What does this card do? I mean, first of all, I'm showing him what I have, but I didn't know what it was doing. Now, I have yet to show the card that inspired this to anybody. But tonight, for you, I have actually brought on my favorite Lorcana card. And so I'm going to show you what it is. And
I'm hoping it's my favorite since we have the same color combo.
All right, well, here it is. It is a 3-cost inkable action. Ring the Bell. This is if anybody knows me, knows I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. If I ever play a green deck, there will always be a copy of this card in it. And so, all right, Sabrina, what does Ring the Bell do?
I have not a clue.
Oh,
I have no idea.
Okay,
what this card does.
I'll give you a clue. You should be playing it. Okay, when you see it, you're going to be like, why is this card not in my deck? Okay,
all right.
There's a condition for which it can banish a character. What is that condition?
If you discarded a card this turn?
No. Here we go. And with the new set out, this card becomes way more powerful.
Oh, man. Okay.
Banish chosen damaged character.
I did know that.
So this card has killed so many big Cindy's for me. So many Tamatoas. You know what it feels like to run a 2-drop Ursula into a Tamatoa and then follow up with this card and watch the look on my opponent's face. It is great.
You feel really good about yourself, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's great. But this is my bailout for green. So, I know a lot of folks play Mother Knows Best to buy them the tempo and stuff, but I like some finality to it.
I told you what that card did.
Yeah, I know. But see, now I've introduced you to this one. You need to have this in your deck now. So in your green deck, try 2 copies of it.
I do need a second look at this card for sure.
And it is inkable. So if you run into those matchups, you're like, I don't need it. At least it gets inked. So, that's what I like about it too. A lot of folks are like, why do you play this?
Called out on ink every game. It's my downfall.
Yeah. So I had a great story in Atlanta. I played in round 9 in Atlanta. I did play Emerald Amethyst, and I had Ring the Bell in my decks. And I was playing against the Ruby Amethyst matchup. And I had just played an Ursula to look at my opponent's hand. I saw he had a Pinocchio, so he could tap my creature. And so I played a second creature because he had a goat and a scar on the board. And his goat already had a damage on it. And I was like, I'm gonna bait him into just taking his scar and just taking my guys out. He's gonna feel froggy to take them out, and he doesn't know it. I had 2 ring the bells in my hand, and so on my next turn, I got to play them both to take out the scar and the goat, and I never looked back.
Okay.
Actually won the game. So that's my ring the bell story. So, and the reason this card's in my deck is because of Big Cindy. I lost my first set championship because I couldn't handle a Big Cindy in those dreaded Amber Steel matchups.
Art is
So
hard to deal with.
yeah, yep, it is. So, do you have anything else you would like to share, or shout out to anybody in particular?
I mean, shout out to Toby, right?
Yeah,
That's what A, that's what brought me into the hobby, and B, that's,
yeah,
the topic of the night, I guess.
yeah.
He's the topic of a lot of my nights, to be honest.
That's good.
But
Hey, it should be like that.
yeah.
So
Like I said, we've been together for over 9 years now. So I mean, we've been through even before this, we've been through a lot. We were 19 when we met. So I mean, you grow up a lot from 19 to
yeah,
almost 29. I don't even want to think about it. Getting
I
so old.
I think the most growing you do is between the ages of 19 and 24. I really feel like that's when you go from being a kid to like somehow figuring out I got to exist in this world on my own, and we do a lot of growing and mind changing during that time.
Yeah, I feel like I've had a weird, like the last 2, 3 years of my life have been really formative.
Hmm.
But I think part of that is just like finally finding a job and a career that I like can tolerate and I'm good at.
Nice.
And that kind of made the rest of adulting a little bit easier. Like
Yeah,
working from home, finding hobbies, Lorcana, like fitting into my routine. Like,
yeah,
but yeah, so
that's cool.
I'm really glad I got to come on here.
Hey, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad we got to talk a little bit more because when we were at the DLCs, like our conversations were generally restricted to 5 minutes or so because I was moving along. I had things I had to do as a judge and stuff like that.
And I was
And
pouting in a corner.
yeah, you were mad about Amber Steel. So, yeah, it's been great for me to just talk with you. Even prior to this, we got to talk a little bit, and so, um, you know, but thank you for coming on. You are always welcome to come back on here because
Thank you.
I'm going to tell you this. So Dan was the first person outside of my group that I talked to in Atlanta. And that was because I happened to be walking by him, Dan from Forbidden Mountain, and I saw him. I knew who he was. I got him to sign my badge. I took my picture with him. I fanboyed. I did all the fanboy stuff. But then you were the second person I talked to when we sat down at the players meeting. And now after that, I was talking to anybody who would listen, but I was in the shell, and so you guys kind of have a special place in my heart because that event's special. That event kind of formed my opinion of Lorcana in the community, and as it did a lot of folks, it was a good event. So
Yeah,
so thank you.
Atlanta was great. Our friend group was actually talking like last week. We were all like, we miss Atlanta. Can we go back?
Yeah.
Like, just such a good time. The event,
Hmm.
just really seeing that like this game was gonna be something bigger.
I really think
Um,
Worlds is going to be like that when they have it. I if Anaheim, what they did in Anaheim, and the way they set that up, and the lengths they went to make that as special as they did, and that was just the North American. The next one's going to be Worlds. It's good. Like I said with Toby, he set the bar high. They set the bar high with Anaheim. So,
they
but
did, they did. I'm excited for Worlds and then hopefully the new DLC season soon.
yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be cool. Well, thank you again for coming on. For those of you who are watching, I will be dropping this video. I have a YouTube channel now, believe it or not, Lorcanarama, where I house these videos. And there'll be more content to come as, just talk to other people. And, sometimes I like to spout out what I know about the game, which, whatever, it's another voice out there. But I have fun doing it. So thank you all for taking your time tonight. Please go to that GoFundMe page for Sabrina. Please support that dinner. The dinner is on April 4th, so that's coming up this week. And Sabrina, thank you again, and I look forward to talking to you in the future.
Thank you.
So, all right.
Thank you.
Okay.